I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, March the 21st, brought to you in part by Joplin Regional Stockyards. About 6,000 head expected for today's regular Monday sale. I'm anxious to see what the market is on there on these big high volume Monday sales this week, because they were quite a bit better a week ago, and then all your other sales through the week kind of matched them. So we're caught up right now. Now we need to decide where we're going to go, but I would say we'd be at least steady, maybe steady to firm or a buck or two higher. Of course, on some stocker cattle for guys that are still putting those together. But don't forget, Joplin's got a special cow and bull sale coming up on April the 6th. That's an afternoon sale, starts at 4:30 in the afternoon. And if you want more information about Joplin, go to their website. They keep it updated really well, and it's a pretty impressive website. You can go to joplinstockyards.com. I recommend that you sign up for the Cattleman's News, which is a monthly publication that they put out. Then you can sign up there online for a free subscription to it. And it's got a lot of good articles in there, and a lot of good ads and things that kind of keep you up to date with what's going on. It doesn't matter if you live right there in the four-state area or not. It's springtime. We've become officially into spring now, which we're doing that after a fairly open winter, especially in the Midwest. We saw a few little storms come through there, but nothing too awful bad. Most people getting along good with their calving so far, but I tell you what, we need moisture, guys. We sure need it. We have seen up in the bread basket in the Midwest part, we have seen a few storms of late that's carried some rain with it and some wet snow. That'll kind of get things going a little bit up there in Nebraska and northern Kansas and places like that. But tell you what, the southern plains continues to be bone dry. And with springtime, we get the normal spring weather, which is 30 to 40 mile an hour winds with gusts another 15 or 20 miles an hour over that. But they're calling for some rain here today on Monday in the Texas Panhandle, Amarillo area. I'd have to see it to believe it, but they're calling for some. We'll see. Down in central Texas, calling for big storms down there. Of course, they stay pretty wet just due to the humidity in that area, but got some chances for tornadoes and stuff, but pretty significant rainfall, up to 3 inches in some spots, and maybe that'll branch out a little bit and get some other areas that really need some rain. Talk about kind of what we saw last week. We saw that we're going to be dealing with higher cost of money here. If not already, pretty quick. Interest rates are going to be on the rise here. The Fed said they're going to raise them 7 times this year. Wow. About a quarter a percentage every time, so it's not going to be huge, but it'll make a difference, and you can bet your personal interest is going to go up a lot more than that, and a lot faster than what they're going to do on that. But we've been living with really cheap money for a long time. This is going to change the game quite a bit. Just goes right along with everything else that continues to cost more. It doesn't matter what you're buying. It's all costing more, and it's all due to the fuel, because they have to haul it there to get it there. But your oil actually fell this past week down below $100 a barrel after it had peaked out around 136. I had heard some stories about gas at the pumps going down a penny or two, but I haven't seen any of it go down from the ones that I see regularly. But they're as bad as anybody else about taking advantage of any kind of a crisis or bad deals that happen, and they're going to hold it up there as long as they can, because it's in the news. Everybody's talking about it. Even President Magoo said, gas is going to get high, so that gives them the right to just crank it up there. And I know we left Reno, Nevada after being out in Fallon over the weekend for their monthly feeder cattle special, that we paid $508 to fill that rental car back up. Ouch. But not that bad in most of the parts of the country where your cattle are raised here in the central parts of the country. It's at below $4 for gas for most part. The bad thing is diesel's a full dollar higher than what gas is, being a trash product there, but they've got steady and built-in demand for it, so they're going to hold it in there. But talking about our fat cattle market, we need to be gaining ground here the next 6 weeks or so, because we've got a lot of market ready cattle coming, but it's not too early to start pulling the cattle ahead. And I think some of your southern feedlots have started to do that, and they are marketing cattle a bit ahead of schedule because the packers really need them, but they're doing everything they can to resist raising the market price. So we kind of had a unevenly steady market this past week. It was unevenly steady to firm in the north, unevenly steady to weak in the south. But if you're getting to market some cattle off next week's show list, that's a good deal. We need to start doing that and start helping ourselves for whenever the show lists do start to grow with more market ready cattle. And we've got all-time record heavy average steer carcass weight, so we sure got room to pull cattle a little bit greener there. But let's talk about your board for last week. April live cattle futures Monday, and they were up pretty good all week except for one day there. But April started out on Monday up 302, Tuesday was up 52, now Wednesday was down $1.50, but Thursday up 12 and Friday up $1.02, with April contracts ending the week at 140.5. That was up $3.20 for the week. Yet we couldn't seem to gain any ground on our cash fat cattle price. But June live cattle ended the week up $4.12 compared to the end of the previous week at 137.07. But you see, as we go out front, we're going to be looking at lower spot contracts there because of those bigger numbers of cattle that are going to be hitting the show list. But like I said, we need to be pulling those cattle up as any chance that we can get on that. Feeder cattle, March feeder cattle, Monday was up 267, Tuesday up 40 cents, Wednesday up 90 cents, Thursday was down 70, Friday back up 45, and your further out contracts on Friday were up big, with March feeder cattle ending the week at 157 even. That was up $3.73. April was up $4.35 at 162.32, and you see that our feeder cattle, 8 weights based on their on your feeder cattle contracts, they're trading at a premium as we go further out, which your summer yearlings always sell really well. Let's talk about your grains for last week. We've switched to the May contract for the spot month on all of them, but corn ended the week around 20 cents or maybe a little more higher than what it was the end of the previous week, closing the week out with regular trading at 7.41 3/4. Soybeans were down about 20 cents and ended the week at 16.68 for the May contract. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for May was down 5.5 cents and ended the week's trading at 10.70.5 last week. Talk about your fat cattle trade. Through Thursday, we had only sold 49,200 negotiated cash direct basis in your 5-area feeding region. That compared to 70,000 the previous week through Thursday and 63,300 the same week a year ago. But the packers just did not want to raise the price at all. We didn't have any trade a week ago Friday, Monday, or Tuesday, and so you can't fault your cattle sellers for not digging their heels in. And packers are going to be pretty short bought this week, so this is an opportunity this week to gain some market position back. But your live sales in your 5-area feeding region last week for slaughter steers and heifers ranged from 136 to 141, mostly 138 to 141. There was only a few real small deals at 136 there, mostly in Texas. But your weighted average on live steers, 138.55. That was up 27 cents compared to the same time previous week. We should gain just a little bit on that as we clean up some sales we had on Friday that we'll talk about here in a minute. Dress sales in the 5 area feeding regions, steers and heifers, ranged from 220 to 225, but it was mostly 222. And your weighted average for dress steers was 221.85. That was down about 25 cents a hundred. So that was it kind of seemed weird because your spread was actually $2 to $3 higher, but your weighted average was down a little bit, where your live price was up a little bit. But basically steady market, and as I told you earlier, kind of unevenly steady to firm in the north and unevenly steady to weak in the south. Did have some trade on Friday, mostly in Iowa. Makes us think that they're wanting some of those higher grading cattle, because we are entering the time of year where we'll see that choice select spread widen quite a bit, as you see your early grillers are going to want the better product. But 4,900 head on Friday, that made it 14,200 head for the week in Iowa. Live sales in Iowa 139 to 142. Dress sales on Friday 220 to 222. So right up there with the best we had, but the 142 we hadn't seen all week. So that gives us a little bit of a boost coming in this week. Nebraska 1,500 sold on Friday, 20,500 for the week. Live sales 138, dress 221. Same price in Kansas on only about 700 head, less than 15,000 for the week. Texas only had a couple loads and only 6,800 for the week. So we've got to take advantage of them being kind of short bought and wanting to increase production as we're getting into the springtime of the year. Box beef cutout values have turned around seasonally, so they're going to be gaining ground now, which that ought to give your packers a little more incentive to start processing more of it. But choice cuts, your weighted average on all of last week's sales, $257.34. That was up $3.64 from the weighted average previous week. And your Friday afternoon sales were a bit higher than that weighted average. So it's on the upswing, but just not as fast as what we might have expected. But select cuts, your weighted average on all of last week's sales, $250.08. That was up $279 for the week compared to the weighted average previous week. And your Friday afternoon sales were a bit higher than that weighted average, but not a whole lot. Choice select spread on last week's weighted average is $7.25, with just under 600 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings for last week, which is kind of a moderate movement. But your slaughter was very aggressive all week and then failed again late in the week. So we ended up 644,000 for the week last week. That was exactly the same as the previous week, 15,000 more than the same week a year ago. But Friday they only harvested 100,000. We'd been killing 124, 125 every day until Friday. Now there was a little bit of weather up there in the Midwest and your northern plains plants. Not sure if that's what shut it down or if they just had cooler cleaning or what the heck's going on, but they've been giving guys about a 3-day weekend in a lot of those plants here. And that 100,000 on Friday was compared to the previous week, which was also disappointing, but they still had 111. But Saturday, they did have a little bit bigger Saturday. That 10,000 that they lost, they gained it back on Saturday, with 44,000 harvested on Saturday, compared to 34 the previous week. Talk about what else is going on. Gosh, we've been having bull sales, and they've been really good. I tell you what, guys are investing in their genetics, and they're looking at building the herd back. Even though they probably haven't kept enough females back, but they are buying bulls, and the bulls have been averaging higher in just about every sale that I went to or heard of. We've been doing from 40 to 70 sales every weekend, DV auction, and have a few sales, of course, through the week too. But if you guys are interested in some bull genetics there, get on to dvauction.com and just scroll through the sales there. And a lot of people do their bull shopping like that. Go through there, and then you can just, when that sale comes up, you just do your buying and watching of the sales right there online. You won't have to travel. A lot of those bull sellers will deliver those bulls for free. And man, we've been selling a lot of high dollar bulls online, you know, 20, 30,000, $40,000 bulls, and females too online. And a lot of times the highest lots that we sell are those that are sold on the online console with DV Auction. Talk about your feeder cattle market, brought to you by Margin Tracks by Midcon. Your real-time index based on the 800-pound steer up through your middle 12 states there ended the week at 155.58. That's a 7-day moving average. It was $3.72 higher than the end of the previous week, gaining pretty much all that ground back that we had lost the previous week. So that's really good. Your cash feeders and your auctions, cattle going right into the feedlot, $2 to $4 higher. We had a lot of 8-weight steers bringing up and above 160 again. We only spent a couple of weeks not being able to attain that 160 in most places, but still hard to get in the southern plains, but you get close to it or above it in the northern plains where your farmer feeders are pretty aggressive out there. Stockers and lightweight calves still demanded quite a bit in a lot of places, and they sold from steady to as much as $10 higher. Talk about some of your late week sales. How about Fort Scott, Kansas? That's a Saturday sale there in eastern Kansas, right on the Missouri line there. About 2,700 head of feeder cattle in their sale on Saturday. It was sharply higher than the previous week because the previous week they had light receipts due to weather. But look at this automated market report. You see the best tested weights of steers had 302 head of 6-weight steer calves, average 658 with a weighted average price of 166.55. Go down to the 8 weights, 447 head of 8-weight steers in Fort Scott, averaged 843 with a weighted average price of 150.45 on all those 8-weight steers that they had in Fort Scott. How about Winter Livestock Auction in Winter, South Dakota? They're the reigning market of the month right now. 3,300 head of feeders there on Friday in Winter. All your cattle weighing under 900 pounds compared to a good test the previous week, sold from $1 to $10 higher. So really good sale there. Look at some good tested weights there out of Winter. 374 head of 7-weight steer calves, average 737 with a weighted average price of 171.56. 724 head of 8-weight steers, averaged 845 at 157.07. That was about $7 higher than the previous week's weighted average. Heifers, 703 head of 6-weight heifer calves, averaged 650 with a weighted average price of 161.59. And just short of 500 head of heifers in the 7-weight category, averaged 750 pounds with a weighted average price of 151.14. Stick-out deal in Winter was 80 head, 719-pound steers, bring $179. How about some other individual quotes? Lexington, Nebraska, Lexington Livestock Market had 80 head, 639-pound steers at $194. But the best quote that I saw anywhere, the one that impressed me the most, was in your Ralgro top quote for the day, come out of Magnus Livestock Market, Huron, South Dakota. 55 head of steers weighed 1,037 pounds at 143.75. I wonder how they're going to get the weight on those cattle, and you look out to when those cattle are going to finish. As far as your board says, they're going to sell about $10 back of that. Not sure how you're going to back them up with $8 corn. But that's your feeder flash for Monday. Friday.